Hi everyone, and welcome to the next lesson on Django fundamentals, where we will be exploring CRUD and Django model forms. Okay, so there's probably some of you wondering what does CRUD mean. So basically, CRUD stands for create, read, update, and delete. Okay, so these are the basic things that we can do when we are operating with data. So we can create, we can read, update and delete. So basically create a record, read a record, update a record and delete a record. So just that in simple terms. All right, so let's get started. So first of all, we are going to introduce ourselves to Django model forms. Okay, so basically we will need to go to our Django app and we'll need to create a forms.py file here like this. Okay, so basically, to keep it simple, so a Django model form, we could like compare to a HTML form with input fields and a submit button, but basically in Django, we're going to be doing that sort of like the Django way, sort of. So we're going to create like a sort of like a HTML form, but in Django, kind of. Okay, so that's just the easiest and the most simplest explanation that I can give at the moment. And trust me, it will make more sense while we get on with it. And so, all right, so let's get to it. So what we're going to do is we're going to create a model form in Django. So we need to import a few things. So first of all, we need to import Django model forms. So first, to do that, we need to say from Django.forms import model form. Then we need to import our model here, and our model here we're going to use task in this case. Okay, so we can say from .models import task. Perfect, good. All right, now we're going to create a task form. So if you recall previously, we manually created task records or objects, you could say, and this time we're going to create a form for users to fill out so they can actually submit a task on their own without having, to do it the manual way. So we're going to do just that, and we're going to create a task form. So let's get to it. So we can say class task form, and we need to inherit model form here. Then we need to say class meta, and this is just a default that we need to use whenever we create a Django model form. And we need to set our task to our model to task, and the fields that we want to use. So we can say underscore here, double underscore all, because we want to use all our fields. So we're going to use everything here. Okay, date posted will be excluded from this, so you don't need to worry about that. But title and content will be utilized. Okay, so we're going to be using that in our task form. Okay, so that is it for our Django model form. But there are still a few things we need to do to configure this correctly. So we need to go ahead and create a view for this. Okay, so let's go ahead and do that. So we can go to views.py and we can scroll up here, and we would need to import our form now. So our task form. So I'm going to go here and I'm going to say from forms import task form. Right, so we're going to make use of our form here and just create a new view which we'll configure with a login and a HTML template. So let's get started with the view solo. So here I'm going to say create task, pass in the request to handle our view, and what I need to do now is I need to sort of create a variable called form and assign it to our task form that we just imported here. Okay, and then of course we can go to context, set our form here, just like that. So we're going to pass over it in like a context dictionary, you could say. And then the next thing that we need to do is we need to render out a task form. Now to do this, what we need to do is we need to go ahead and create a HTML template. So I'm going to go here, new file, and I'm going to call it task form. form.html. Okay, so a very simple HTML form here. Right, there we go. And I'm going to keep it very simple. I'm just going to, let's see what we have here. I'm going to say here, I'm going to copy this here. I'm going to say this is our model, our task form. And I'm going to do some template inheritance. So I'm just going to copy from the base here. So previous lessons linking up. And what I'm going to do is I'm just going to create a form here. Okay, so a basic HTML form, but we'll be using a bit of Django forms as well. So let's mix it up. So we can just say form method, and we want to send a post request. We can set the autocomplete to off. The ink type, okay, we don't need this. Usually this would be for files, so we can keep that away from now. And then we need to always use the built-in tag here for CSRF token. Okay, so basically this is a mandatory thing for whenever you create a form and submit data in Django, you need to include a CSRF token here for security. Okay, and we can just go ahead and create a button here. Okay, submit and value submit. So very simple HTML stuff here. Just wanna, there we go. Right, and there we are. So what we can do now, if we go back, okay, so we know it was our task form. So if we go back here, it's going to take in all of our attributes. So if we go to models, I'm going to take in title, content. So we can simply go back to our views and we can render this out. So we can say return and we can say render, and we need to put in the request, and that was called task form.html. Okay, and we can put the context equal to the context here. Okay, and then very simply we can go to our task form, and usually we could just say form.title and then form.content. Okay, but a cleaner way to do this, to make it look nicer and spaced out, we can just say form.as_p. Okay, and this will make it look cleaner and much better when we, of course, run our render our form here. So we can go back, and now, of course, we need to get to this URL. So we need to set our URLs now. Okay, so let's see what the pass will be. So pass, I'm going to call this task form views.create. What was it called? Let's see. Create task. Okay, I might as well call this create task. Task. Okay. And of course, yeah, we can leave it like that for now. Okay. So we can go back. All right, that's good. And we can go and run this now. So let's just check everything's fine. Okay, that's good. Okay, so let's give this a try. So the URL was create task. So let's go back and we can say here create task. And there we go. So this is our task form. So you can see here we use Django forms here, or Django model forms, to create like a nice form for us here. So we put in the title of our task and the content and then submit. Now this won't work because we haven't added any functionality to create an actual task, but we'll be covering that in the next lesson. But basically I just wanted to introduce you to Django model forms and how we would go about creating that form here. So you can see here, let's start from the beginning. We would create a Django model form here that would take on our attributes, so title, content, and then of course we're going to set it to our model, get the fields, then we'll go to our views.py, assign that to a variable here called task form, then we're going to render out our form in a HTML template here, like so, and of course we set the URL, create task, to get to that specific model form that we created. Now, of course, what you're probably thinking, what if I just put form.title and a breakpoint and then form.content? So if you were to refresh, you'll see it won't look as great because you'll then need to assign a label so you can actually see which form you're submitting. So it's much better and much cleaner to just keep it as form.as_p, because this adds breakpoints, and of course we can still see the labels of the forms that we actually entering data into. Okay, so that's it. So this was just a quick introduction on what will CRUD be like, and of course Django model form. So of course later on with CRUD, in the next video we're going to be creating and reading our record. So we're going to make use of this task form, and then of course we will be updating and deleting data as well, updating and deleting records. So in the next lesson, the next video, we will be creating records and reading them. So this is just the baseline for what it will look like. So in the create part, we will actually make the submit button actually work. And then in the read part, we will read everything that we post. Okay, and then of course with update and delete, we will learn how to update a specific task and how to actually delete a specific task. Okay, so that's it, and I hope you liked it.